Oh shit.
どこどこ？あ、
Uh-oh. Oh my god. Oh wait, was I supposed to read? Fuck. How do I go back? Shit, that's not how you go back. Oh wait, was it right click? No, it was not right click. Well, that fucking sucks. Oh, right here. A brief flash of light, unlike an aerial bombing. There's no brilliant burst of flame to accompany the powerful sound of the blast. A pretty plain explosion, as these things go. The school building where I've spent the last 3 months of my life, and Sachi nearly a year of hers, crumbles noisily before our eyes.
あれは美浜学園ですよね。
Yeah, it was Mihama Academy at least. We just got rid of it, along with that test.
じゃあ、私がさっき設置した粘土のようなものは。
Plastic explosives. Modern Japanese architecture is world famous for its strict building codes and sturdy engineering, you know. Demolishing even a modest-sized structure requires a lot of detailed calculations, and boring into the supporting columns is a pretty involved process. Just getting the necessary amount of explosives ready was a real challenge. Anyway, with the building itself gone, the school won't be up and running anytime soon. That test isn't going to happen. In fact, I expect that's going to be the last thing on anyone's mind for a while.
確かにその通りです。
Sachi responds vaguely to my explanation, her tone absent-minded. The words seem to have left her mouth, out of reflex. Her attention is clearly glued to the building below, or what's left of it anyway. There were plenty of other formalities and preparations involved as well, considering all the time it took to set this up. It sure disappeared pretty quickly.
そうですね。
Something wrong? This is what you wanted, right?
はい。ゆうくんの言う通りです。これでテストがなくなるなら、みちる様の依頼を達成したことになる。そうなれば、私はいい子で居続けることができます。
Not really.
それが私の望んだもので、私はそのためだけに今まで頑張ってきた。なのに、それなのに、こんなにも胸がざわざわするのはなぜなんでしょう。
Apparently unable to grasp her own emotions, Sachi continues to stare down at the rubble that was once our school, her face blank with confusion. Can't understand where that's coming from, huh?
はい。
Well, I guess that's not surprising. You've never felt uncertainty about what you're told, have you? Never felt it necessary to even consider how obeying an order makes you feel.
じゃあ、私は。
Oh, she's crying. Shit. Put a hand on your cheek. Sachi obediently brings a hand to her face, and her fingers brush against a small stream of tears.
私、でも、どうして。
The girl wasn't even aware she was crying. Her confusion only deepening, Sachi looks up at me with a face full of pure bewilderment. You may not be conscious of it yet, but a part of you already knows the answer to that question. What was that place?
私が去年から通っている学園です。
And?
ゆうくんがいて、皆さんがいて、今日まで本当にたくさんのことがあった場所です。
Specifically, what sort of things?
みんなでいろんな科目の授業を受けて、みんなで遊んで、屋上で流しそうめんをしたこともありました。
Anything else come to mind?
最近はいろいろな相談に乗っていただきました。ちょっとエッチな相談に乗ってもらったり、おしゃれの相談に乗ってもらったり、ゆうくんから出された課題について相談に乗ってもらったこともありました。
So you spent a lot of time there. What sort of memories are
と
those?
ても楽しい時間だったと思います。前の学校にいた頃は考えられなかったような会話と笑顔に満ちた空間。私が転入してきたこの美浜学園は、町の人たちから刑務所と比喩されるような場所とは正反対のところだったんです。外では厄介者扱いされるような私のことを、この学園は受け入れてくれました。みちる様は私のことを必要としてくれました。まきちゃんは私のことを一番の友達だと言ってくれました。あまねさんは私にたくさんのことを教えてくれました。榊さんは一歩引いたところからいつも私のことを気にかけてくれていました。
The words began to flow smoothly, naturally. Sachi no longer needs my questions to guide her. As she begins to understand the meaning of her tears, her honest feelings come pouring out of her mouth.
私が大好きだったあの家のように温かい場所、それが私にとっての美浜学園です。
That effect?
はい、あの学園は私にとってきっとそれだけ特別な場所だったんです。
Right. And you just destroyed that special place with your own hands. Since your 10th birthday, you've been clinging persistently to a single idea, telling yourself it's the one and only answer. Do what you're told, be a good girl, never disobey. And your stubborn adherence to that simplistic rule brought you to this moment.
そんな、どうして私いい子でい続けたのに、あんなに頑張ったのに、いい子でい続けることで大切なものを失うなら、私は今まで何のためにこんなの違う、絶対に違う。私が望んでいたのはこんなんじゃない、こんなんじゃないのに。
Remember what you said to me just a few minutes ago? You told me that being a good girl is what allows you to be yourself, that it's the only way to ensure your happiness. Sorry, but you were wrong. That's not how this works. Sure, an intelligent, pathologically helpful honor student will probably make plenty of friends anywhere they go. You're so useful to have around. Most people probably treated you nicely enough for their own convenience. And when they realized what you were carrying, when you were no longer of any use to them, I guess they abandoned you quickly enough. That sort always will. But how about the people in the school? You think they're the same way?
それは
Do you really believe Michiru and Makina think of you as nothing but their personal lackey? Do you really believe they'd abandon a friend for failing to carry out a single order?
思いません。
That's right. You've been so afraid of losing something that you couldn't even see what you had. You've been going through life curled up in a shell, both eyes squeezed shut. In exchange for your brittle happiness, you've lost sight of what's around you. You've lost something you didn't even know you had. That's what I wanted you to realize.
大切なものを守ろうとして何かを失う。
Yeah. You know, human beings may be the smartest animals currently struggling around the earth, but that doesn't mean we're the wisest. No matter how much we learn, or how advanced our civilization becomes, we're still complete idiots about the simplest things. When it comes right down to it, we don't realize how precious anything is until we lose it. I might be giving you a pretty pompous, I don't know what the fuck that word is, lecture right now, but I'm no exception to that rule myself.
じゃあ、ゆうくんにも。
Yeah. There was a reason I couldn't promise to play with you on our birthday. My sister had died in an accident, and with her gone, my family crumbled in on itself like a house of cards. I'm the only one who got through it alive.
私、 ゆうくんにそんなことがあったなんて。
Of course you didn't. I never told
じゃ
you.
あもしかしてゆうくんはそのことを私に教えようとして。
Not entirely. I also wanted to learn something about you.
私のことを知る。
Yeah. There was a time when you could have asked me for anything, and all you requested was my praise. That's the one thing I've never really understood. But after hearing your feelings just now, I think I finally found my answer. I turned Sachi toward me and softly rest my hand on her head. It's been a long and lonely road, hasn't it? You did good, Sachi. You really did. Speaking in the gentlest tone of my fuck! I'm ruining the moment. Speaking in the gentlest tone of voice I can manage, I affectionately ruffle Sachi's hair. Her eyes open wide as saucers, and in the next moment, fat tears are running down her face. You were waiting to hear those words, weren't you? Utterly lost, overwhelmed in pain, sadness, and confusion, waiting for someone to show her the way forward. Waiting for someone to see the crushing guilt she carried, to know the punishment she levied on herself every moment of every day, and to tell her, you've done enough.
そうなのかもしれません。私ずっと怖かったんです。テストでいい点を取ってお手伝いもして、そんな私をお父さんとお母さんは偉いねって褒めてくれました。それなのに急にお父さんとお母さんが冷たくなって、大好きだったあの家に機械の音ばかりが響くようになって、最後にはあんなことになって。それは私がわがままだったのがいけなかったんだ。もっといい子でいなければいけなかったんだって。だからもう一度も失敗できない、いい子でい続けなきゃって。
I see. Then I suppose I'm the only one who can tell you this now. You don't have to be a good girl anymore. I understand your feelings. I understand how hard you've tried. You've done more than enough. You can rest now.
それは本当でしょうか。
Yeah.
本当に私はもういい子でいなくてもいいんでしょうか。
Yeah. It's true. Her 10th birthday, a day that should have been full of happy memories, ended in unimaginable tragedy. Ever since, Sachi's lived a half-life, bound tightly by the irrational guilt of a child. Until this moment. The good girl she never truly was, the role she forced herself to play all this time, evaporates with her tears into the warm night. All this time, she suffered quietly, locking her constant fear and pain somewhere out of sight. Nobody can erase those years, or the mark they've left on her, and nobody can undo the accident that ruined her life. There's one and only one thing I can do for Sachi right now. Hold her shaking body in my arms until her tears run dry.
すみません。もう大丈夫です。
Right. When she's cried her fill, Sachi firmly wipes her cheeks dry and raises her head from its resting place against my chest.
お見苦しいところをお見せしてしまってすみませんでした。
Nothing to worry about. A girl's tear-stained face is a special privilege reserved for her boyfriend.
じゃあ私の涙は ゆうくんのご褒美に。
I did just blow up a school for you, remember? I don't think it's too much to ask.
そういえば私たち美浜学園を壊してしまったんですよ。
Oh yeah. That place is gone.
あまりにもびっくりしすぎてなんだかあまり実感がありませんけど。
Yeah, we did. Probably gonna cause Sakaki and company a lot of trouble. Not to mention everyone who works there.
そういえば皆さんは寮は大丈夫なのでしょうか。
As she finally realizes the potential for collateral damage involved with this little show, the color drains from Sachi's face. Don't worry about them. They're in a safe place.
それならよかったです。
An expression of pure relief spreading across her face, Sachi brings a hand to her chest as if to show or slow the frantic beating of her heart. It's a simple, earnest gesture, one that speaks volumes about her feelings toward our
で
classmates.
すが皆さんに迷惑をかけたことに変わりがないとすると、ここは二人で腹を切ってお詫びするべきでしょうか。
That would kind of make this whole thing pointless, don't you think?
そういえばそうですね。
It feels like it's been an awfully long time since I've had one of these distinctive pure Sachi moments. That brings me a slight sense of relief. Somehow it makes me feel like all this wasn't a waste of effort on my part. Well, we can't exactly go put the school back together again, but like I told you before, I spent some time on the planning phase here, and a big part of that was figuring out how to keep the damage and fuss to a minimum.
そういえばあんなに大きな爆発があったのにあまり大きな騒ぎになっていないみたいです。
Yeah, I guess we've got to thank Chizuru and JB for
と
that.
いうことは春寺さんや学園長さんはこうなることを知っていたんですか？
When we entered the principal's office, didn't you notice that most of the books and documents were missing?
はい、全然気づきませんでした。
Well, I guess you had other things to worry about at the time, but in any case, yeah, I got myself in some pretty serious debt to make this happen.
それはどれくらいの借りなんでしょう？
Let's see, even if I worked the rest of my life for free, I doubt I'd be able to pay this one back. Handled this sort of thing wrong, and there's a possibility I end up getting disposed of through an accidental death.
そんな自分がそんなことになるかもしれないのにゆうくんはあれだけのことを？
From what I'd seen, this was the only way I'd get through to you. You needed to fail through success. If all I wanted was to get rid of that test, I could have just asked Chizuru.
私にはその選択肢すら浮かびませんでした。
Exactly the reason I had to blow up the school instead. Sachi draws a sharp little breath and looks away, a tinge of sadness and guilt in her eyes. You know, Sachi,
はい、
a little while ago, I said you were wrong to think about being a good girl would protect your happiness. But to be honest, I can't say your way of thinking was entirely mistaken. As a kid, you struggled desperately to find that answer. It got you back on your feet. You fought hard all this time, living by that belief. And eventually, you found people who understand you and care about you. You found what you were looking for. That's not a way of life you need to be ashamed of. But there's one important thing to keep in mind. You can't allow yourself to lose sight of what you're trying to protect.
私が守ろうと思ったもの。
Yeah. No one's asking you to change who you are. You're probably going to keep on being a pretty good kid, and that means people are going to keep asking you for favors. And that's fine. All you need to do is think over every request individually. Think about what they're asking you and why. Think about whether it's reasonable. Think about the consequences of saying yes, and then accept or decline. I know you're capable of making those decisions for yourself, Sachi. But if your confidence ever wavers, come to me and we'll talk it over together. I'll rack my brains with you until you make up your mind on one way or another. There's not much else I can do, but I'll always be there to listen.
今の言葉を聞いて私やっとわかりました。
Understand?
はい。